16-bit hockey fans, this might be my most controversial video I've ever recorded. Why? Because I'm going to rank every goalie in NHL 94. Every damn one of them. Even the jabroni goalies like JC Bergeron, Brian Hayward, and Stephane Beauregard. I've talked to the people who know the code of the game, who know how to win. I took all that information, mixed it into my 16-bit blender, and broke it all down. Every attribute. Each one given its own weighting based on what I learned from talking to top players and playing the game myself. So before you start writing nasty comments or sending me hate-filled emails, keep this in mind. This is all done using math. If you hate the results, go blame math, not me. I'm innocent. I'm just a messenger spreading the word of 94. Some results are obvious, like who are the two best goalies in the game. But as I went down this rabbit hole, I managed to find something interesting with a couple of teams. Is it earth-shattering? No. But it's interesting. Enough of me rambling, let's go on to the results. So here is the spreadsheet that I worked on. Before I could get into the rankings, I first have to give the mathematics, the formulas I used to figure out who's the best and who's the worst goalie. And I'm just using 5 different attributes. These are the most important, actually the only ones that are applicable to goalies. And I gotta give a shout out to Chaos, and he was the one that brought it to the world. Exactly, it is what these rankings are, how they're used in NHL 94, and of course which ones we should be discarding, like the glove right and glove left stuff. To a point, by the way, the glove, we'll talk about that in a moment. But either way, the weightings I have and what attributes I'm going to be scoring are the weight of the goaltender, the agility of the goaltender, the speed, the defensive awareness, and the puck control. So with the weight, we're going to go through each one of these one at a time. The weight, obviously the lower the weight, the easier it is to move the goalie around, which is better, but the lower the weight, the more susceptible you are to getting rammed and having somebody knock the goalie into the net and score a goal. So the best weight that I found for a goaltender is between the weight of 4 and 6. And if you get a goaltender with between that weight, 4 and 6, you get the maximum points of 8. And every point outside of that range of 4 to 6, for example, if you have a goaltender with 3 weight or a goaltender with 7 weight, you're going to subtract 1.5 from the 8. So a goaltender that is 4 weight will get 8 points. A goaltender that is 6 weight is going to get 8 points. A goaltender that is 3 weight is going to get 6.5. And a goaltender that is 7 weight is going to get 6.5 as well. And every point away from 4 to 6 is going to be another 1.5 is going to be subtracted from the overall score. So that obviously penalizes goalies that are going to be too light and too heavy. So 8 is the maximum a goalie can get. Agility gets the highest score of 10. And this is straight, easy one. The more agility you have, the better you are. The more agility you have, the higher the score you're going to get. Agility of 6 on a goaltender will get a maximum of 10 points. Every 1 point away from 6, subtract 2.5. You get penalized heavily here. So a goaltender that is 5 weight is going to be given a score of 7.5 in the agility. A goaltender that is 4 weight is going to be given a score of 5. So you can see you get penalized hard, which makes sense, at least to me right now, based on my play style and what I've learned. Agility is king. Speed is a little bit tricky because speed, there is only 4s and 3s. The best goalies have 4s. The crappier goalies will have 3 speed. So you're really only dealing with two different results. And it's not a huge difference. So you can see like these are all the rankings for every goalie in NHL 94. And the better ones will have a 4-speed and the crappier ones will have a 3-speed. So really there isn't much of a difference here. Speed does impact how fast it is your top speed will be. But between 4s and 3s, it's not that much. So the way I mapped it out is if you have 4-speed, you're going to get a total of 2 points. If you have a 3-speed, you're going to get a total of 1 point. So really, it's not going to be a huge thing in the end for what makes a goalie good or great. It's not going to be the defining factor, say, like agility or weight, but still is something I wanted to give some points to. So all goalies, in the end, you have 4-speed, you get 2 points. You got 3-speed, you get 1 point. Defensive awareness. And from what I gather, and thanks to Chaos, this is how well the goalie tracks the puck. So if the goalie is going laterally and if a puck is moving laterally, say for a passing for a one-timer, that's how quick, or the defensive awareness is how quick the goalie is tracking that. So obviously the faster he tracks it, the higher the defensive awareness, the better he's going to be at stopping those pucks that go laterally. And so the maximum points I gave is 8. And that's only going to be for goalies that have a 6 defensive awareness. Every one away from 6. So if you have a 5 defensive awareness, subtract 1.5. So a 5 defensive awareness goalie is going to have a 6.5 and so forth. So that's basically how it works. The lower the defensive awareness, the lower score you're going to get in defensive awareness category. Maximum of 8. That's only for 6 defensive awareness goalies. And every point away from that, subtract 1.5. Puck control. And this is how well the goalie gobbles up that puck and does not give a rebound. 6, obviously being the highest scorer. And if you have that, you're going to be given a total of 8. I think that puck control is just as good as defensive awareness, in my opinion, and just as good as weight. That's the way I look at it. And so with puck control, don't want to give up those rebounds that somebody could pick up the puck and score it in the net. Well, 8 points will be given if you have 6 puck control, and every 1 point away, subtract 1.5. It's the same as defensive awareness. So a 5 puck control is going to have 6.5 points and so forth. So that's the way it's going to be done. So that's how I'm scoring each goalie. So just to give a recap, agility I deem to be the most important. Tied for second is weight, defensive awareness, and puck control. Very far down the list is speed, and non-existent is the glove hand right, glove hand left. And to talk more about the glove hand, we could look at all the goalies' attributes. This is every one of their attributes from 0 to 6. Not scored. This is just their raw data. And you could see that for the glove hand, and I got the ones that have glove hands of 1 or less, I highlighted in yellow, are the absolute worst of the worst goalies. We have Bergeron, JC Bergeron, Ron Tugnut again because he's on Edmonton and Anaheim in the game, Rick Knickel, and those are the ones that have the glove hands of 1, which means if you have a glove hand less than 2, 1 or 0, you will not get that glove hand save that we always see from Patrick Waugh every so often. So these are the goalies you want to stay away from at all costs. Rick Knickel, Ron Tugnut, and JC Bergeron. So that's why I don't rank the glove hands, because essentially every goalie has a glove hand 2 or higher, and because of that means they all have the ability to do that special glove save animation we see so often. So there we go. That's for that glove stuff. That's why I don't take into consideration. And here we go. Let's dive deep into the rankings. And everybody's going to be able to see this. I'm going to share the spreadsheet with everybody. And as you can see, number 1 and 2, no surprise, Belfour and Roy. It's like 1 and 1A. They're just so darn close. The only difference between the two is Belfour has better puck tracking. And because of that, he's going to be better at getting those one-timers that are going from lateral movement from A to B, and Patrick was better at the gobbling up the rebounds. Really, so that's the only difference between the two. They're just 1 and 1A. Where it gets really interesting is you see Fuhr, he's only slightly better than guys like Joseph and Potvin. So Joseph and Potvin, they score really well because they're a little bit lighter than Fuhr, and they got better defensive awareness than Fuhr, although Fuhr has better puck control. So the ones that are interesting, I mean, I thought Fuhr was quite interesting. Couple, if you look at, well, let's just go look at the teams, and this is going to help solidify that this spreadsheet might be right, at least based on my thinking and how I play. Everybody's different, but if I sort this by teams, let's take a look at Ottawa. I tend to go with Daniel Berthiaume over Sidorkiewicz because of the one weight. Because of that, one weight, even though he's getting penalized, he's better in just about everything else. He gets a little bit higher of a ranking than Sidorkiewicz. So looking at this, I'm going to go with Berthiaume. The Bandit gets a start, and he tends to get the start when I play because I do like that one weight. Sidorkiewicz is a piece of trash in the game, and Berthiaume is just a piece of trash with a little bit of seasoning on top. So you'll take that over Sidorkiewicz any day. And the other one that is interesting, at least another two that are interesting, is Moog and Blue. Moog tends to be started by everybody, but Blue, based on this ranking, is just a hair better because he's got the better defensive awareness by a country mile. So if you're using the AI goalie, I'd rather use Blue. If you're using manual goalie, I prefer to use Moog. Another one that is rather interesting is Hartford. And you'll see that Burke, where people tend to start him more than anybody, he's probably the worst of the trio here. And so he is the heaviest of the bunch. So that's something to consider. Pietrangelo, much lighter, and Mario Gosselin, the lightest of all of them here. So if you do value the weight, Gosselin is your boy. Also, he's got the better defensive awareness. So with the manual goaltender, he's good with the weight. And the AI goaltender, he's probably pretty darn good because he's going to track that puck much better than Pietrangelo or Burke. So that being said, I think that Gosselin is the goalie of choice when you have to pick Hartford. At least my thinking that is right now. The last but not least, let's just go to the totals again and just take a look at where Kelly Hrudey stacks up because he seems to be the topic of the day. Clearly, he's far away from the top of the list, but he's better than Barrasso. Barrasso, that heavy weight really hampers him. He gets penalized heavily. Hrudey's also better than Mike Richter. People tend to try to, go with the hotter hand between Van Beesbroek or Richter, but Van Beesbroek seems to be the better of the two. So Van Beesbroek's at 22.5 points total versus Richter at 19.5. So there's a bit of a gap there. I'm going to go with Van Beesbroek any day of the week. But Hrudey better than Richter? That's interesting. Better than Beaupre? Yeah, Beaupre's a piece of trash in this game. And after that, it really gets to the guys that are just terrible, like Hartford's situation. They have the worst goaltender. Well, maybe Ottawa is worse too. But yeah, there you go. Like, so if we're going to screen this by teams to see like who's got the best of the lot here, we got Guy Bear. Obviously, you're going to start him in Anaheim. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a case to be made for John Blue over Andy Moog. You got to go with Fuhr. There's nobody else. Hasek is kind of decent, but Fuhr, he's the man. Calgary, Vernon, there's no other choice. Belfour over Jimmy Waite. Again, nothing crazy here. John Casey is, because of that low weight, he scored pretty high. He's ranked 11th overall, at least tied for 11th. And Darcy Walklock, you're going to keep him on the bench. Chevalier, much maligned in the game, but he's not too bad. He tied for 8th overall. He's pretty good. Ranford, a little bit further down, 11th, at least tied for 11th. Van Beesbroek, tied for 11th. He's not too bad. Hartford has terrible goaltenders. You're not gonna win off goaltender. You're gonna have to win off some other aspect of the game. LA, what are you gonna do with Kelly Hrudey aside from try to let in one less goal than your opponent? Patrick Waugh all the way. Chris Terreri with that lightweight, he's ranked pretty high, tied for 9th overall. And Oh yeah, we didn't mention anything about the Islanders because less said about the Islanders goaltender. Although they finished in the semifinals that year, EA did them dirty. The Islanders not very good. Although I liked it in the game, man, Glenn Healy sucks. Fitzpatrick sucks more. Gonna go with Van Beesbrook. He's the man in New York. Daniel the Bandit Berthium. This helps solidify that my whole formula, at least in my mind, it's right because he's the starting goaltender based on these numbers, and I tend to start him over Sidorkowitz. It's solidifying. Yeah, I think my formula is right. Soderstrom tied for 6th. He's a pretty darn good goaltender in this game. Tom Barrasso tied for 20th. Terrible because of the heavy weight. Hextall, he's not too bad. Tied for 9th. Urbe, what are you going to do with San Jose? He's the guy you got to go with over there. Joseph and Potvin, they're very good. They are almost Fuhr-like. People might cringe at that, but just looking at these numbers here, the 6 weight, they're able to move around a lot. Look at Joseph here with that 6 defensive awareness. The guy is not too bad. And Potvin, too, say 6 defensive awareness. Not too bad at all. These guys are good goaltenders. Did I skip over Tampa? I did. Because Tampa has really nothing there with Wendell Young, Pat Jablonski, and JC Bergeron. Terrible goaltenders over there. Kirk McLean, not very good at all. Beaupre, you got to start him over Tabarachi. And Bob Essence, that's darn good. So let's go back to the overalls. And then this spreadsheet is available for everybody to see. Ooh, I sorted it wrong. You'll see in the description below, you can open up this spreadsheet and peruse it to your advantage. You could take a look to see if I did it right or wrong. You send me comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. But yeah, this is it. Took some time to do it. I think it's right. This may be a work in progress. I may alter my formula in the next little while, but at least for now, this is it. This is what it is. And hopefully this helps you pick your goaltenders moving forward. Sidorkowitz, bench him. Richter, keep him on the bench. I mean, at least on the Super Nintendo, you could play. You have to play Richter, but in Sega Genesis, Van Beesbrook all the way. John Blue, let's do John Blue some justice here to start him, and Mario Gosselin. Let's get him in the game some more. With that, hope you enjoy it. Look forward to hearing your thoughts.